I am Curtis Bachan, a theatre practitioner for over the past 25 years. I was born in San Juan, Trinidad and Tobago, in Aranjuez, and grew up. I attended the Aranjuez Junior Secondary School, then went on to Tranquility Secondary School for 2 years. The exposures that I had at Aranjuez Junior Sec helped me considerably to form and prepared me quite well for a life in theatre. What I did not know back then is taking the technical subjects such as woodworking, technical drawing, and metalwork. Those subjects were new to me as a teenager in secondary school. However, the lecturers, the teachers at the time, were very, very committed to ensuring their students understand the trade. Once I got into the field of technical theatre, I realized that you needed to always be aware and conscious of what you're using and what tools you have, how you use your tools, how you use your equipment, and as such. So from a very early age, my mom saw in me the curiosity that I had for anything electronics or electrical. I remember as a boy, our house had the old-time fuses, and the fuse would blow. And in order to reset those fuses, you had to get a copper wire and wire it around the ceramic and push it back into the plug. So as a boy, I looked at the gentleman who would come to our home and repair this, and I looked at him pretty well until at one time I was able to do it on my own. And doing that for me was an accomplishment, and it was also something that my mother had observed. So much so that when I finished my secondary schooling at Tranquility, she introduced me to the neighborhood electrician, and she asked me to go and work with the neighborhood electrician. This I did for 2 years. That was a very good experience for me because that then exposed me to electrical installation, which also prepared me for the field of theatre. The performing arts was something that I had not planned at the end of secondary school, or to say that I was going to get into it. What really drew me to theatre on the whole? Well, I got a job with the Fireflight, the band Fireflight. Fireflight was, the technical side of Fireflight was managed by a guy by the name of Junior Woodruff, and Junior Woodruff took me under his wings and showed me the rudiments of how stage lighting was for a band, for a live calypso band. And at that time, Junior Woodruff was experimenting himself with a number of other gadgets. And so I had learned, to a certain extent, aspects of stage lighting for a concert setting. Then I remember there was a year where Junior's lights was used at a Rage fashion show. Rage fashion show was a really dynamic kind of show that Godfrey Seeley sort of produced or pulled together. And those shows were held at Queen's Hall. When we went into Queen's Hall, I was really astonished at how organized and how precise things were at Queen's Hall. And that Rage fashion show exposed me to sort of control lighting. Like for the band, you can throw up a lighting system and how it hang its swing, as long as the lead performers are being seen, as long as you have some flashing light in the background. That was it. But being exposed to that Rage fashion show really had me wondering, wow, this is incredible. Miami Sound Machine came to Trinidad, and I met a guy by the name of Henry Beard. And so Henry used to moonlight, let's say, at Queen's Hall and other venues. And Henry got the job to do Miami Sound Machine. This was at the National Stadium. And he asked my colleague and I to come along and help him with that. That was Bachan's, and at that time he did not have moving heads and as such, moving heads were just coming into the picture. You know, it was really new. Godfrey Seeley had asked Henry to light one of his shows by name of Roll Call. Henry was leaving Trinidad to go abroad, and he said to me, "Curtis, I think you can do this. Give it a shot. I will give your name forward to Godfrey Seeley and the Playhouse Company, and so you can then be the lighting designer for this." I kid you not, I partnered with a guy by the name of Addison Laplatte to do the Roll Call show. And the Roll Call show was really the big turning point, or the big switch that turned on inside of me for my love for stage lighting. Coming into Central Bank Auditorium as a designer for the very first time, I remember walking through that door upstairs there and looking in. I think I had reached for a show, and I can't recall, because we had seen a show before Roll Call came into the theater. And when I looked at the lights and the gels and how it blended and how they were going smoothly up and down, that was it. That was it. I just loved theater. And so after the Roll Call show, I remember meeting Benny Gomes at that time. He was the then technical coordinator at Central Bank Auditorium. And Benny had asked if I was keen on joining the crew. And that is how I joined the Central Bank Auditorium crew. And to me, the Central Bank Auditorium did have like the audio department and the lighting department. And we were, and I stuck to the lighting, really enjoyed the process of how you prepare for a show and the artistic side of the lighting, together with the collaboration that the whole production team will come together to bring a production to stage. So I think that was the real bug with me. And Benny Gomes, as a lighting designer, was very, very meticulous. He was very patient. I learned a lot from Benny Gomes during my time at Central Bank. For example, when he rotated the crew, those things exposed us to the overall understanding of the different areas of stage lighting. It certainly helped me considerably when shows, the type of shows that passed through the auditorium and how Benny would approach it. I remember being his assistant on a couple of occasions, so I'd get to go to the rehearsals and be able to see that kind of process, and him talking to the producers or talking to the costume designer or to the set designer in order to come up with his ideas for the show. And so that to me was equally as interesting, and things that I had to learn more, to understand more. A couple other things Central Bank prepared me for is Benny's system of how the theater should work. So the demand for having a shutdown period to maintain the equipment, to maintain the plant, that is something he always insisted, and I think even up to today, the Central Bank has maintained where in January, is it? Where they shut down to take down all equipment and service the equipment and then put it back up and start back again. So that aspect of maintenance, in Trinidad and Tobago, we seldom do that. I started Queen Soul in 2002 when there was an ad out for lighting technicians. I had initially applied for the lighting technician's position. However, I had worked with the then manager on a couple of her shows with Heather Gordon. And when she saw my application, she said, "Curtis, we're looking for a technical coordinator and I think you can do it." And I said, "Heather, are you sure?" She said, "Yes, come on, apply for that position. Let's see what can happen." Applying for the position was a bit nerve-wracking because I know a technical coordinator's job encompasses so many other areas rather than the lighting that I had been exposed to. And I went through the interview process. Margaret Walcott, a couple guys from Arup International were in the, and when I got the job, I was very, very happy. So it was new to me as a technical coordinator at the time. And all the duties of a technical coordinator at that time in 2002 was, I had to kind of sculpt it along with the management team in order to make it something that I understood that I could work with. So working as a technical coordinator at the Queen's Hall really, I really came into my own after about 3 or 4 years of practicing the thing and understanding the thing and taking parallel courses so that I can learn and grow with the position. The first show I designed was Roll Call. So I shared the lighting design credit with Addison LaPlatte, and that was a Playhouse Company's production of Roll Call, a show that dealt with different social activities in the school environment. And I think Wendell Babas was the lead in that. But it was a very good show by Godfrey Seeley, and it was well received. The issues that the shows tackled were violence at school, bullying, the use of drugs in schools, and so that was a really important play for the time, and to keep that social issue on the front burner. I remember doing a La Petite musical concert. Felix Edinburgh, who is popularly known for the Pierrot Grenade, portraying the Pierrot Grenade at Carnival time and other times. He had asked me to do La Petite musical inside this auditorium, and doing that show on my own really was in so many ways an interesting experience. Interesting in that I got to understand the music La Petite sang and portrayed, those kind of folk songs that you hear and you realize, oh, that's what that is. But at that time, to be honest, I did not understand fully well what I was doing, but I was just doing things which I thought would have led to the success of the show. In 2003, Trinidad and Tobago contingent was invited to Suriname to carry Festa, and Davlin Thomas and Ronald John they wrote the Golden Masquerade. Golden Masquerade was a huge production comprising of actors, singers, dancers, musicians, including steel pan musicians, drummers, and the whole works. So that was a huge production that we had to take to Suriname for Carry Festa. That was a really bittersweet kind of experience, because in spite of sending forward the technical information sheet and sending forward drawings to Suriname, we met the lighting guy, a lighting supplier, on a particular day, and he said, okay, and he got the drawings. He said he had them before, so he brought them with him, and we explained what we wanted and said okay. And he said he's going now to his shop to bring the stuff to the space, and we would have come back later in the night. Frightfully, by the time we arrived back in the theater was locked down. It was closed, padlocked. We were like, what was going on? It was absolutely crazy in terms of they not being ready at all. So the then artistic director, Davlin Thomas, had to make calls or whatnot. And I think we were up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in Suriname trying to find out who's responsible, why wasn't he there, and what is going to happen, because I think we were supposed to perform not the day after that. The show was well received, and so much so that we were invited to mount the show again for the closing of the Carry Festa. That was one of my first experience with a show abroad. I've subsequently done things in Grenada, in the United States. I've done a couple of shows. My last outing outside of Trinidad was in Canada, where Tobago Drama Guild took the production of Cheryl Usorio's Blood Money to Canada, and I was the technical coordinator on that project, technical coordinator / photographer on that project. In 2015, 2016, it had always been to me, boy, go back and take this course at UWI now. Take something at UWI. And finally in 2018, I did it. Say, okay, let me challenge my brain to think and to use it more often. So therefore going back to improve my academics and to see theater from an academic side, that was the motivation. That was one of the key motivating factors. So going back to UWI and in 2018, just before I had left Queen's Hall, that experience really challenged me in a number of ways, and I embraced it because I think I am a much better person or human being from doing that degree program at UWI. It so happened that the COVID hit during, and COVID, I tell you, it might be a big negative, but for me, it was a huge positive because it helped considerably with having time to do research, having time to understand and to prepare academic papers for the different lectures or different courses that I had to do. So I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm also very thankful for the Derek Walcott Foundation, who stepped in because COVID had hit, the entire entertainment industry was shut down. And that being shut down meant that my savings were going down. And so by the time I was in my final year, I believe, I applied for the Derek Walcott Scholarship and I won that scholarship. And that helped considerably in terms of taking me over the line. So I'm very thankful for that. With reference to photography, to me, I always like to capture things or to see things through a lens and hold it. So the people who would have made the difference in my life. Like I mentioned, Henry Beard, big influencer, and we are still in touch today. Junior Woodruff from Firefly, big influencer. Benny Gomes, in terms of his approach to light and design, also big influencer. George Williams also played a role in my life. And you see George's work now in the Queen's Park Savannah with the parallel stage, how he lit the parallel stage. The same design is now implemented at the Queen's Park Savannah so many years after he has passed. I'm still continuing the light and design side of me. So I have a couple projects in the pipeline with reference to photography and photography that's ongoing. So I am more involved in community projects with photography. So there's a number of groups in my neighborhood that I go back and give back to in terms of taking photos. I'm also capturing some events and documenting it about the community that I grew up in. I am going back to my secondary school, Arangwell Junior Sec. We are celebrating 50th anniversary this year, and so we have been going on a Wednesday morning to the school to meet and mentor students. And so that project is snowballing, so there are a number of other things that's coming out of that. Yeah, so those are some of the things that's holding my attention at this time.